As soon as Kobo announced that they were launching a color e-reader, I pre-ordered this immediately and it is finally here. But I'm also going to unbox the Stylus. This is a separate purchase, but it's what you need if you want to make these little annotations on the books. And they also had quite a few different sleeve options, which I enjoy as well. So I ordered the clear one, and I also ordered the sleep cover. So this is one that should turn it on and off. I'm excited to see how all of these work, what the quality is like. And if you want to see that too, I'm gonna head over to my desk over there and unbox it. I'm going to try to cover quite a few bases here, so if you want to check the timestamps below and jump to anything specific, go ahead and I'll leave those down below, and let's get into it. First things first, we got to look at the price. The Kobo Libra sells for $219.99, and the Stylus is sold separately for $69.99. This might seem pretty expensive when you're looking at e-readers, but it's pretty on par with the similar devices that are out there right now. I would put it somewhere between the discontinued Kindle Oasis and the Kindle Scribe, except that this also has color, so I would say that the price is pretty fair. One of the reasons I ordered it immediately is because this is pretty much my ideal form factor. You're looking at a 7-inch screen, you have a sidebar to make this easy to hold with buttons that are page turning buttons that are clickable. That's ideal as well. This is pretty light, coming in at 199, I think, grams. And what I'm most excited about is the ability to annotate with color directly on the pages of your novel. To doodle in the margins, underline, highlight, write your notes, draw, whatever you would like to do directly on the pages of your books. Your annotations are saved. If you change the font size, you can always revert back to the same size your page was when you made your notes, so you're always able to reference those. This really appeals to me because I love the idea of annotating in books, but even when I have a physical book and I have absolutely no intention of giving it to anybody else and I have every intention of keeping it myself, I have a very, very hard time annotating in my books, even though I want to, and I feel a lot more comfortable annotating in a digital form, so this really works for me in that way, and I've been having a lot of fun using it. Something like this just isn't possible with Kindle right now. Even if you have the Kindle Scribe or you're using the Kindle app on a device like an iPad that has full color and it has a stylus, you're not able to directly write on any of the pages. You're very limited to the kind of quirky way that you can annotate in Kindle books, and that's leaving sticky notes. So you can attach sticky notes to highlighters, or you can kind of put them somewhere in the book attached to a sentence, and you can reference them that way, and that's nice, but it's a little bit disappointing because you can't like write or draw directly on any of the pages and have that kind of true annotating experience if that's what you're looking for. The stylus itself works pretty well. It's got an eraser on the back and replaceable pen tips up top here. The pen tip on here is more like an Apple Pencil pen tip to me than it reminds me of the traditional styluses that usually come with e-ink devices. I think that's kind of a good thing, especially since this seems to be made of a very firm plastic, because you're not gonna need to replace this as often. But I will say it has less of that kind of like traditional paper to pen feel that you do get with those traditional styluses that come with e-ink devices usually. It also has a little button on it, and if you hold this down, it's a shortcut to your highlighter, so you're able to let go of it and use your normal pen tip to annotate in your books, and then hold down on that little shortcut key to highlight if you want to highlight instead of using your fingers to highlight on your page. Something I am really happy to see on here as well is that this seems pretty pressure sensitive. I'm surprised they don't talk about this on their website, but pressure sensitivity just means that if you write lighter, that you're going to have a thinner line, and you press down thicker, it's going to be thicker, and that gives you a little ability to switch up the thickness and thinness of your handwriting and make it flow a little bit better, and I'm very impressed to see that that's on here. As far as the build goes for this whole thing, it is all plastic, the pencil and the e-reader itself. I think some people might prefer different materials, but personally I'm totally okay with plastic as long as the e-reader is light, and I think this is pretty light, coming in at 199 grams. This feels really comfortable to hold. I will hold this over my head. I will use this in bed, especially something that is 7 inches. I want it to be portable and I want it to be light, and an e-reader is something that I hold onto for multiple hours a day, and the lightness is more important to me than how durable the materials are. And I have not had a problem with the plastic, and I don't see myself having a problem with the plastic. I just wanted to mention it in case that's kind of a deal breaker for you. I also overall just really like the design of this. I've talked about liking the sidebar and the buttons, but your pen, if you choose to get it, magnetizes really nicely on the side here or on the front of your e-reader. I really enjoy that. It comes in a black and it comes in a white, and I love when e-readers come in white. So it's an ideal kind of look for me, and I like the back of it too. I just think this is very thoughtfully designed, and I'm really enjoying my experience so far. As far as the functions go on this, it has pretty much all of the things that I'm looking for. It is waterproof, I think up to an hour. It also has the auto rotate feature I really like, so you're able to switch sides, change the orientation. You also have an option to lock it, so if you don't want it to auto rotate, it won't. I really like that. It's got that adjustable brightness and darkness, so you are able to change the backlight of your screen, and it also has the warmth, so you can change the temperature from warm to cool depending on your preferences, and I really like that as well. The battery life is good as well. According to Kobo's website, it says that a single charge lasts up to 40 days based on 30 minutes of reading per day with the front light on at 30% brightness with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned off. So by my calculations, the charge should last you 20 hours of reading before you need to recharge, and I'm personally good with that. I've had it for a little over a week, and I've only had to charge it one time, and my brightness is up a lot higher than 30%. This Kobo also has some really interesting features that I personally was not expecting, and I really love. For one, it has Overdrive built right onto the device. Overdrive is like the same as Libby. You're able to connect your library card or sign up for a library card directly on here without having to actually go to your local library, and then you're able to download books for free from your library and return them, obviously, directly on your device. You don't have to use your phone for this. You could still use your phone. So a question that I got a bunch was, are you able to still use library books? And you absolutely can. And to be honest, I think this might be even easier because you're able to set your holds and borrow your books directly on the device. You're able to search Overdrive, and you're able to search your library's library right on your device, which is great. And when it downloads directly into your books, and you're able to annotate directly on your library books as well. You might be wondering what happens to your annotations if you happen to change the font size later on in the book. And on any of the pages that you make annotations, there's a little button and you're going to be able to revert back to whatever settings you had it on when you made those annotations. So no matter how you shift your document or your book, you're always going to be able to see your annotations when you go back. There's a note-taking aspect of the Kobo Libra Color that is interesting. It reminds me a lot of the Kindle Scribe, if you're familiar with that. It has a notebook section at the bottom. If you open that up, you have options to add a basic notebook or an advanced notebook. You've got different options for both of them. They both seem to work pretty well. What's interesting here is that you have more pen options in the note-taking section than you do in the book section. In the book section, you seem to have one pen tool and you can pick your different colors and you've got your highlighter. And in the notebook section, you have like different kinds of pens, brush pens, calligraphy pens, so you can kind of go wild with your notes if that's what you want to do. I really enjoy that. Another thing I really like about the note-taking section is that the notebooks are really customizable. It's got a lot built right in there. You have a ton of different templates that all seem really practical and easy to use. And what I love about this is that you're able to use different templates within the one book. That's something that is not available in the Kindle Scribe, and it seems like kind of a silly oversight, but that is not a problem here. You're able to use like a monthly spread if you want to, and then use a weekly spread, and then use a lined sheet of paper all in the same notebook, and I really enjoyed that. That is kind of where my positives and kind of with the note-taking. People have asked me what my thoughts about using a digital planner on a device like this is, and I would say it's pretty unrealistic to use a screen this small with something that is designed for a PDF 8.5 by 11 kind of document, because the screen is so small and the pinch to zoom is very slow, as I would expect on an e-ink display. You're gonna have a lot of ghosting. You might be frustrated. So it's not something that I would recommend anyway. The other thing is that any kind of digital planner that you're getting, or notebook, or if you wanna side load your own templates as PDFs and upload them, you are certainly able to do that. Uploading your own PDF documents is really easy to do, but they populate with the books and not with the notebooks, so you don't have access to all of the tools that you do have in the notebook section. One thing I was really happy to note when I was testing this out is that all of the hyperlinks do work, which is really nice, but I will say, this is my one issue with annotating any of the books, is that if you press down, if you're the kind of person who writes and your hand rests on the screen, it turns really easily. It will turn the page. It will even open up the bottom little bar where you're able to kind of scroll through the entire book, and you might find yourself bouncing forward or adjusting the font size, and it's a little bit annoying. If you're pretty good at keeping your palm off of the screen, that's not going to be a problem. But if you're someone who accidentally gets your palm down, it might be a little bit frustrating, especially when you're trying to pinch and zoom into really small spaces. For me, it became a real issue when I was trying to use like a monthly spread and I was trying to get in small enough to write on a particular date. It was just not very practical for me, and it was hard not to skip forward a bunch of pages. And when you add in hyperlinks, you're adding a bunch more things that can be accidentally clicked when you're resting your palm down. So just something to keep in mind as you're kind of deciding if this is for you. I do think the note-taking section is fun, and it's totally fine if you want to make a quick note or you're using like a very simple template. But I think if you're doing anything complex, I would not do it on this, and I would do it on something else, even if it was just my phone. I feel like that would be easier to use than trying to take a note on a device this small with the kind of issues that you just have with an e-ink display. And the last thing I want to talk about is how this interacts with Kindle books. If you are someone who is switching from Kindle to Kobo and are wondering if that's possible and how it's going to work for you going forward, this is going to be a serious non-issue for someone who's never used a Kindle before. If you're not locked into a particular ecosystem, it's really not going to be a problem. You can start anywhere. You can use the library, or you can use the built-in bookstore directly on on the Kobo, and I have no problem with either of those things. But if you are someone who is coming from Kindle, which I'm sure that a lot of you are, because this is the first e-reader that as a Kindle person myself, I would consider switching ecosystems really and truly in my regular personal life. I would consider switching it for some of these features. And you might be wondering, can I transfer over my Kindle books and my Kindle library to my Kobo? And the answer is maybe. The problem with Kindle books and the Kindle ecosystem itself is that most Kindle books that you buy on Amazon are protected with DRM protection. It's a special encryption that makes the files, the book files that you're buying, not standard EPUB files. They are very Amazon Kindle specific, and you're not able to transfer those files. You can download another app, it's called Calibre, on your computer, and then download a plugin and remove that encryption and then transfer those files over to whatever device you want, including the Kobo. But, and this is a big but, I spent a few hours watching tutorials and trying to do it myself, and I have not successfully done it myself. I was not able to upload the DRM plugin without my Calibre app crashing over and over and over again, no matter how many times I restarted my computer and how many times I updated everything. It just didn't work for me. And I know that that's not true for everyone. And what I would recommend you doing, if this is really important to you, is to download Calibre before you order this anyway, and to see if you're able to remove your DRM on your own. There's a ton of tutorials on how to do it. If you can, it's really gonna be a non-issue for you. You're gonna be able to transfer over your books. But if you can't, it might be a problem. So just something to keep in mind. It's doable, but it might not be practical in practice, depending on if the process is something that you're willing to go through or not. That being said, if you want to buy books or borrow books directly on your Kobo device, it's really no problem at all. I've had a great experience with the Kobo bookstore, and the book prices are exactly the same as the Amazon prices, so that's been pretty seamless. And borrowing books directly from my library on my device has been really, really awesome. Another question that I've got a few times is about Kindle Unlimited, and unfortunately that's another no-go with the Kobo. It is not something that works together at all. The Kindle Unlimited program is very specific to Kindle, and beyond that, even books that you've already read on Kindle Unlimited are loaned books, so you do have a limit of how many Kindle Unlimited books you can have, and when you're done reading them, you can send them back to take out new books. So even if you're using something like Calibre, you're not able to transfer over books. Kobo does have its own subscription program. It's called Kobo Plus. It's quite similar to the Kindle Unlimited program, and it is $7.99, so quite affordable. But I will say that Kindle Unlimited has quite a large following, and Kindle has a lot of authors and titles that are Kindle Unlimited exclusive. So that content you're not going to be able to get anywhere else but Kindle. So I would double check if you're someone who is a frequent Kindle Unlimited user. I would double check and see if the titles that you're interested in are available on Kobo or if they are Kindle exclusive. And of course, if one of your favorite authors is Kindle Unlimited exclusive, it's not going to make sense for you to change your ecosystem. So as far as going from Kindle to Kobo, if that's something that you're interested in, it's really only something that I would recommend if you are comfortable really switching your entire ecosystem, or if that Calibre file conversion works for you. And that's something you can definitely test on your own before you make the investment. My final thoughts on the Kobo Libra Color is that this is a device I am very, very impressed with. I have had so much fun using. I will continue using myself personally. I bought this myself, and I will 100% be keeping and using this device. I'm having so much fun with it. If you are looking for something specifically to annotate your books, I have not found anything better than this to do that with, especially if you're someone who likes to use colors. It's really, really fun. I have never had so much fun reading as I have had while annotating books using this Kobo Libra Color. But I will say that if you're coming from another ecosystem, if you're heavily invested in another ecosystem, if you use Kindle Unlimited or any other subscription program that is not going to be compatible with your Kobo device, it's not going to make sense to switch, and that's just something to keep in mind. You should always keep in mind what your current reading habits and your current note-taking habits or whatever is before you get sucked into buying a new device. These are all my thoughts for now. I have only had this for a little while, so I am happy to do an update in the future. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I'm happy to get to those as well. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It helps me make more videos like this, and I will catch you next time. Bye.